Welcome back to Audiobook Channel 1. Let your cares fade away, and immerse yourself in the soulful world of books with us today. Chapter 5, Coming Back to Where It Began. 5 years later, I stood in the baggage claim at Portland International Airport, watching the carousel spin endlessly as I waited for my suitcase to appear. The fluorescent lights hummed overhead, and the smell of stale coffee from the nearby cafe made my stomach turn. Or maybe that was just nerves. I'd kept my promise to myself. I'd left. And never looked back. Europe had been beautiful, a blur of museums, cafes, and cobblestone streets where no one knew my name or my past. Penn had been exactly what I needed. Challenging. Consuming. Safe. A place where I could build a life that had nothing to do with a boy with blue eyes. And then the world changed. It happened during my sophomore year. I'd been in my dorm, studying for a biology exam, when Nina, my roommate, burst through the door with her laptop. You have to see this. The president stood on the screen, his expression grave. My fellow Americans, today we acknowledge a truth that has existed since the beginning of civilization. We are not alone. There are others among us, beings of extraordinary ability. Today, that secrecy ends. At first, people thought it was a joke. But then they came. Liaisons. Representatives. Proof. Vampires with ancient, unreadable eyes. Witches who could bend fire. Shifters who could transform in seconds. Wolves. Bears. Panthers. Everything we thought was myth was real. Fear came first. For weeks, the world held its breath. But slowly, fear became acceptance. 4 years later, the supernatural world wasn't hidden anymore. It was part of everyday life. You couldn't always tell who was human and who wasn't. But they could. They always could. That knowledge changed everything for me. My political science degree finally meant something. The world needed mediators. People who could bridge the gap between humans and supernatural communities. So I applied. And somehow, I got in. At 23, I became a government liaison, working with PACs, covens, and other groups to prevent conflict. It was meaningful work. Work that kept me busy enough to forget the past. Until now. My suitcase finally appeared, and I pulled it off the carousel. This was fine. I was fine. I was here for Nina. That was it. Edgewood territory might border my hometown. But that didn't mean anything. The chances of seeing anyone I knew were small. The chances of seeing him, even smaller. Emily. I turned just in. Oh my God, I missed you. She pulled back, beaming. You look amazing. How was the flight? Are you hungry? Do you neigh? Nina, I laughed. Breathe? She grinned. The car smelled like vanilla and cinnamon. Trees blurred past the window. So many trees. The Pacific Northwest felt different. Familiar. Too familiar. I'm really proud of you, Nina said. I shrugged. You do more than that, she said. You make. I didn't answer. Because my attention. Edgewood, 15 miles. Pinewood, 30 miles. My chest tightened. Hey. Yeah. She didn't push. We drove deeper into the woods. Cabins appeared between the trees, like the forest was protecting them. Nina kept talking about the pack. About Nate. About how welcoming they were. They're different, she said. The alpha believe. That see. Not many do, I admitted. He does, she said. And it changes everything. We pulled into a driveway beside a bee. Before the engine even stopped, the front door opened. Nate stepped out. Tall. Broad. Solid. Every inch a shifter. But his smile. Warm. He crossed the yard and pulled Nina into his arms, lifty. And so. Emily, he said, turning to Em. He hugged me, gentle despite his. Welcome to Edgewood. Thank you, I said. Inside, the house was wood. Light. Comfort. Nina showed me to my room. It was perfect. Quiet. Peaceful. Safe. When they left, the silence settled. I stood in the middle of the room. Heart racing. I was back. Back in the place I swore I'd never return to. Changed clothes. Tried to breathe. 2 weeks. That's all this was. 2 weeks, and then I'd leave again. A knock came at the door. Come in. Nina peeked inside. You ready to meet the alpha? My stomach dropped. Now? She nodded. Just a formality. He's nice, I promise. I followed her outside. Got into the car. Watched the trees pass again. Closer now. Denser. I could do this. I'd faced powerful alphas before. Handled dangerous negotiations. Kept my composure in rooms full of predators. But this felt different. The pack house came into view. Large. Commanding. Alive. My breath caught. This was it. No turning back. Chapter 6 The Truth He Hid. The drive to the pack house was short. Log cabin-style homes lined the road, tucked between towering trees like they belonged to the forest itself. Some were small and cozy. Others were large and imposing. But all of them shared the same quiet strength, wood, stone, and glass blending into nature instead of fighting it. Then the pack house came into view. It was impossible to miss. A massive structure rising 5 stories high, built from dark timber and stone, with huge windows reflecting the fading afternoon light. It was beautiful. Not just in appearance, but in presence. Solid. Permanent. Unshakable. The kind of place that had stood for generations, and would stand for many more. We parked beside the building. I stepped out of the car, my legs slightly unsteady. On the outside, I was calm. Professional. Controlled. On the inside, my heart was racing. Because something felt wrong. Or maybe not wrong. Familiar. I couldn't shake the feeling that I had been here before. Not just in this region. Not just near these woods. But here. This place. Like a memory, just out of reach. Ready? Nina asked. I nodded. I wasn't. The moment we stepped inside, the atmosphere shifted. People greeted Nina and Nate immediately. A girl waved from across the room. Two men nodded respectfully. An older woman pulled Nina into a warm hug. There was laughter. Conversation. Ease. A real community. And I didn't belong in it. Quick tour, Nina said, looping her arm through mine. Dining hall is through there. Entertainment room down that hall. Sitting rooms are scattered around for meetings, or just hanging out. I nodded, taking it all in. Open space. High ceilings. Wooden beams. Warm. Inviting. We climbed the staircase. Second floor is offices, Nina continued. Third and fourth are living quarters. The top floor is for the alpha and leadership. I focused on breathing. On staying steady. On ignoring the way my hands trembled. The second floor was quieter. More formal. A long hallway stretched ahead, lined with doors. At the end sat a receptionist. She noticed me immediately. Her eyes swept over me, sharp, assessing. Then her expression cooled. Not openly hostile. But not welcoming either. We're here to see the alpha, Nate said. She paused, her gaze going distant for a moment. Mind linking. Then she nodded. You can go in. We stopped in front of a door. A simple nameplate. Alpha. Nate knocked once and opened it. Nina went in first. Then Nate. Then me. I didn't see the office. Didn't notice the furniture. Didn't register anything around me. Because I saw him. Standing behind the desk. Rising to his feet. Older. Stronger. Sharper. More powerful. But still him. Ryder. The world tilted. Everything fell into place all at once. Ryder was a wolf shifter. The realization hit like a shockwave. The protectiveness. The growl in his voice. The way he moved. The way he fought. It all made sense. But this was bigger. He wasn't just a shifter. He was the alpha. Emily. Nina's voice snapped me back. I blinked. Everyone was staring. And Ryder. Intensely. Like he. I forced myself to move. To breathe. To step forward. I bow. Respect. Control. Thank you for allowing me into your tour. My voice didn't shake. Even if everything inside me died. When I looked up. His eyes locked onto mine. Recognition. There. Clear as day. I'd like. His voice. Rougher. But unmistakable. Nina glanced at me. I gave a small nod. They left without question. The door closed. It was just us. Silence filled the room. Heavy. Charged. He didn't move. Just stared at me. Like he was memorizing me. My fingers lifted to my necklace without thinking. The S. The crescent moon pendant. I'm surprised you kept it. My breath caught. He remembered. I dropped my hand. It reminds me of better times. The words came out sharper than I intended. But I didn't take them back. He stepped closer. Too close. I could smell him. Pine. Earth. Something deeper. Something that made my thoughts blur. His fingers brushed the necklace. Then my skin. And everything changed. Heat spread through me. Fast. Electric. Uncontrollable. Not new. Never knew. Just understood now. Mates. The word echoed in my mind. Loud. Final. He knew. All along. The realization hit hard. Brutal. He knew. And he left. He knew. And he chose someone else. Pain tore through my chest. I stepped back. Emily. Don't. My voice cracked. But I didn't care. We need to talk. There's nothing to talk about. I kept backing up. Until the door stopped me. He closed the distance. Hands braced beside my head. Trapping me. His hands slid to my hips. Firm. Possessive. My breath hitched. He lowered his head. Buried his face in my neck. Inhaled. My body reacted instantly. Weak. Unsteady. I hated it. And I wanted it. He pulled me closer. My body pressed against his. Every inch of him solid. Real. My grip tightened on his shoulders. A soft sound escaped me before I could stop it. This was wrong. I shoved him. He didn't move. But something in him snapped back. What the hell, Ryder? My voice was sharp now. Angry. Let me go. He stepped back. Finally. Sorry, Em. The nickname burned. Don't call me that. Silence stretched between us. Sit, he said quietly. I didn't want to. But I did. We sat on opposite ends of the couch. Distance. Necessary. I'm sorry, he said. For what? A pause. Then. We're mates. I didn't answer. I've known since we were kids. The words hit harder than anything else. You knew. I couldn't tell you. You chose not to. His jaw tightened. It was before everything changed. Before we went public. I was sent away for alpha training. You lied. Yes. Silence. Then. I was surrounded by people who believed humans made us weak. That bonding with them was a mistake. My stomach dropped. I believed them, he said. By the end, I was going to reject the bond. The words cut deep. But when I saw you again. He looked at me. Raw. Honest. I couldn't do it. I stared at him. Heart pounding. Mind spinning. I want you as my mate. Everything stopped. This wasn't what I expected. Not even close. I don't know what to say. You don't have to decide now, he said quickly. But don't reject me without thinking about it. I nodded slowly. Still processing. Still reeling. Can I go? His expression tightened. But he stepped aside. I didn't wait. I opened the door. And ran. Down the hallway. Down the stairs. Past everyone. Out the doors. Into the open air. I didn't stop. Didn't think. Didn't breathe properly. I just needed distance. From him. From this. From everything. Because nothing made sense anymore. And I had no idea what to do next. Chapter 7: The Choice That Breaks Me. I walked for what felt like hours, my feet carrying me through streets I barely recognized. The town had changed in 5 years, new shops, new restaurants, new faces everywhere I looked. But I wasn't really seeing any of it. My mind was too full of Ryder's words, playing on an endless loop. I was going to reject you. I couldn't do it. I want you as my mate, Emily. The contradictions made my head spin. How could he want me and not want me at the same time? How could he have known all these years and never said anything? How could he have kissed that girl, touched her, when he knew that I was supposed to be his? I found myself at a small park on the edge of town. There was a playground, a few benches, and a walking path looping around it. Families were everywhere, kids laughing, parents talking, couples holding hands. I sat down on an empty bench, far from everyone else, and dropped my head into my hands. Did I want to be with him? The question should have been simple. But nothing about this was simple. Yes. I still loved him. That was the worst part. After everything, after he abandoned me, after seeing him with that girl, after 5 years of trying to move on, I still loved him. Some part of me was hardwired that way. Stupid mate bond. But love wasn't enough. Knowing that he had wanted to reject me. God, it hurt. It hurt worse than seeing him kiss that girl. Worse than the silence. Worse than everything. Because it meant that at some point, I wasn't enough. And now he'd changed his mind. Now he wanted me. But what happens the next time things get hard? Would he walk away again? Would he decide I wasn't worth it? I didn't know if I could survive that. It had taken me so long to rebuild myself. So long to stop checking my phone. To stop seeing his face everywhere. Did I really want to risk that again? Emily. I looked up. Nina and Nate stood a few feet away, both looking worried. Hey, I said, my voice rough. How did you find me? We went back for you, Nina said, sitting beside me. You weren't there. Are you okay? I shrugged. The truth? No. But I didn't know how to explain it. Not here, I said quietly. She nodded immediately. Okay. Nate's getting food. Then we'll go home. We met Nate at a small restaurant nearby. He was already waiting with bags of food. Got enough for an army, he said with a grin. Only then did I realize how hungry I was. Back at the house, we spread everything across the table. Burgers. Fries. chicken, salads, comfort food. Normal conversation followed. Work, packs, Nina's ceremony. I answered when I had to. Smiled when expected. Pretended I wasn't breaking apart inside. After dinner, Nate left for patrol. And then it was just me and Nina. She curled up on the couch and looked at me. "Okay," she said. "Tell me everything." I took a deep breath. "Do you remember sophomore year? That night I told you about the guy I loved?" Her eyes widened. "Your childhood best friend." I nodded. "That was Ryder." Silence. Then, "What?" "The alpha is him." Everything came out after that. The truth. The bond. The betrayal. "He knew," I said. "The whole time." Nina's face hardened. "And he never told you?" "Never." "And the girl?" He kissed her knowing I was his mate. Her anger flared instantly. "That's messed up." "It gets worse," I whispered. He was going to reject me. The words hung in the air. Heavy. Ugly. Broken. "He wants me now," I added. He asked me to think about it. "Are you going to accept?" "I don't know." I leaned back, exhausted. What if he changes his mind again? What if I'm not enough again? Nina was quiet for a moment. Then she sighed. "He's an alpha," she said. "But he's also a guy. Guys can be really stupid." Despite everything. I laughed. A small, broken laugh. "You don't have to decide now," she said gently. "Give yourself time." We put on a movie. Explosions. Noise. Distractions. But my mind stayed somewhere else. With him. Always him. Did I want a second chance? Part of me did. The part that still loved him. The part that remembered how it felt. But another part was terrified. He had broken me once. Could I survive it again? Could I ever trust him? The mate bond was supposed to be unbreakable. But he had almost broken it. He had almost broken me. I glanced at Nina. She looked peaceful. Certain. Loved. Her story was simple. Mine never would be. Because Ryder and we had history. We had love. We had damage. On the TV, the hero shouted something about fighting for what mattered. I almost laughed. Was Ryder worth fighting for? Was I? I didn't know. Not yet. But I had 2 weeks. 2 weeks to decide everything. This was going to hurt. I could already feel it. 2 weeks. And then I would have to decide if my heart could survive loving Ryder Black one more time. Chapter 8: When the Heart Betrays the Mind. The next morning, I woke to the smell of coffee and the soft sound of Nina humming in the kitchen. For a few blissful seconds, everything felt normal. Then reality came rushing back. Ryder. The mate bond. His confession. That kiss. I groaned and dragged a pillow over my face. "Emily. You awake?" Nina called from downstairs. "Unfortunately," I muttered. Still, I forced myself out of bed. The kitchen was warm and bright, sunlight spilling across the counters. Nina was already moving around, pulling ingredients from the fridge. Morning. I was thinking pancakes, she said brightly. Sound good? Perfect, I replied, stepping beside her. We fell into an easy rhythm. She mixed the batter while I cooked the bacon. It felt normal. Safe. Like I could pretend nothing had changed. For a moment, I almost believed it. Until the front door opened. Nate walked in, looking exhausted, hair messy, clothes rumpled, dark circles under his eyes. Hey, babe, Nina said immediately, wrapping her arms around him. Long night, he muttered, burying his face in her neck. But quiet. I turned away, focusing on flipping a pancake, giving them privacy. Morning, Emily, Nate said after a moment. Morning. He poured himself a cup of coffee, then added casually, oh, before I forget. The Luna wants to have lunch with you today. My hand froze mid-motion. The Luna. I repeated. Ryder's mom, he clarified. We still call her Luna since he isn't mated yet. Relief hit me first. Then embarrassment. Right? Of course. By noon, I stood outside the pack house again, nerves twisting in my stomach. And there she was. Tina. She looked almost exactly the same, warm smile, kind eyes, just a few silver strands threading through her dark hair. The moment she saw me, she hurried forward and pulled me into a tight hug. Oh, it's so good to see you, Bunny. I laughed despite everything. It's good to see you too. We carried lunch upstairs to her office, sandwiches, fruit, cookies. For a while, it was easy. She asked about my parents. My job. I answered carefully, sticking to safe topics. Then her tone shifted. You know, she said gently, Ryder worked very hard to make integration happen. I didn't respond. I think we both know why. My gaze dropped to my plate. Because of me. Because I was his mate. But that hadn't stopped him from wanting to reject me. Her hand covered mine. I know he hurt you, she said softly. But he's changed. Please, give him another chance. My chest tightened. Instead of answering, I asked the question that had been nagging at me. Have I been here before? At the pack house? Her smile softened. Yes. When Ryder found you in the woods as a child, he brought you here. You were terrified, but so brave. That strange sense of familiarity made sense now. But then she continued. We've always lived here. The house in Pinewood, that was temporary. I blinked. What? We only stayed there so Ryder could be close to you. The words hit hard. So it wasn't real. It was real in its own way, she said gently. But this was always home. I leaned back, trying to process it. Everything had been arranged. Even back then. Because I was his mate. A knock interrupted us. The door opened. And my heart stopped. Ryder. He stood in the doorway, tall, broad, wearing a fitted black shirt that made him look unfairly good. His eyes found mine instantly. That pull hit me all over again. Tina smiled, far too innocently. Oh. Looks like we're all having lunch together. She absolutely set this up. Ryder took the seat next to me. Too close. When his arm brushed mine, a spark shot through my body. He noticed. Of course he did. Under the table, his hand settled on my thigh. I pushed it away. He put it back. Again. And again. Until I stopped fighting. My body betrayed me, reacting to every small touch. This was torture. Finally, Tina stood. I'll meet you downstairs in a few minutes. And just like that, she left us alone. I should go. Ryder caught my wrist. Pulled me back. Then he leaned in, pressing his face into my neck. But you smell so good, he murmured. My breath hitched. Ryder, stop. But it came out weak. His lips brushed my skin. And just like that, I lost control. Completely. My hands found his shoulders. His mouth claimed mine. The world disappeared. All I could feel was him. His hands. His heat. His scent. Everything. He lifted me onto the table, stepping between my legs. I wrapped around him instinctively. Every thought, gone. Every doubt, gone. Just him. Then, someone cleared their throat. We froze. Ryder turned. And I looked past him. To see Greg standing in the doorway, arms crossed, eyebrow raised. Horror slammed into me. Oh my God. I shoved Ryder away, jumping off the table, my face burning. I couldn't think. Couldn't breathe. Couldn't stay. So I ran. Out the door. Down the hall. Down the stairs. Out of the pack house. I didn't stop. Didn't look back. Only one thought echoed in my mind. What the hell is wrong with me? Chapter 9, No More Running. I'd gotten very good at hiding these past few days. Ever since Ryder and I had been caught by his father, God, the memory still made me want to disappear into the ground. I had mastered the art of avoidance. I knew his schedule better than my own. I knew which streets he preferred, what hours he spent at the pack house, and when he'd be out on patrol. And I made absolutely sure I was never anywhere near him. It had been working. Until yesterday. I'd seen him stepping out of the coffee shop on Main Street, and panic had taken over. I spun around too fast, stepped off the curb without looking, and nearly got hit by a pickup truck. The horn blared, loud and furious, and I stumbled back onto the sidewalk, my heart racing wildly. When I looked up, Ryder was across the street, arms crossed, one brow raised, clearly amused. Even from that distance, I could see the smirk on his face. So, naturally, I turned and walked, very quickly, in the opposite direction. But today, hiding wasn't an option. Today was Nina and Nate's mating ceremony. And Ryder, as alpha, would be leading it. There was no escape. I arrived at Nina's house just after noon, my stomach already tied in knots. The ceremony wasn't until 4, but she'd asked me to come early to help her get ready. The door swung open before I could knock twice. You must be Emily, a warm voice said, and suddenly, I was being pulled into a hug by a woman with kind brown eyes and laugh lines that spoke of a lifetime of joy. I'm Margaret, Nate's mother. Nina has told us so much about you. It's really nice to meet you, I said, a little overwhelmed. Come in. Inside, Nina stood in the middle of the living room in a simple white slip, looking both radiant and terrified. A younger woman, who had to be Nate's sister, was fixing her hair. Emily. Nina rushed toward me. Thank God you're here. I'm freaking out. I've got you, I said, smiling. Trust me. And somehow, I did. The next few hours passed in a blur, laughter, stories, nerves. I did Nina's makeup soft and natural, just enough to make her glow. Jenna styled her hair into an elegant updo, leaving soft strands to frame her face. When Nina finally stepped into her dress, the room fell quiet. She was stunning. Radiant. Happy. Whole. And for a moment, everything else, my mess with Ryder, the tension, the confusion, faded into the background. This is your day, I told her when she thanked me. I wouldn't miss it for anything. And I meant it. The pack house looked completely transformed. White rose petals lined the path. Lanterns hung from trees, waiting for dusk. The air itself felt softer, like it knew something beautiful was about to happen. Inside, the ballroom was breathtaking, draped fabrics, glowing light, flowers everywhere. I slipped into a seat halfway down the aisle, trying to steady my breathing. You can do this, I told myself. It's just a few hours. Then the door opened. And Ryder walked in. And just like that, every rational thought vanished. He wore a charcoal suit that fit him far too well. Broad shoulders, sharp lines, effortless confidence. His hair was styled but still slightly messy, like he hadn't tried too hard, and somehow that made it worse. He looked powerful, untouchable, and completely distracting. I stared. Of course I stared. And then, like he felt it, he turned. Our eyes met. His expression softened, just slightly, and then that familiar smirk appeared. He'd caught me. Heat rushed to my face, and I quickly looked away. A second later, I heard it. His laugh. Low, warm, rich, and devastating. I risked another glance. He was still watching me. And I knew, right then, this was going to be a very long ceremony. When Nina entered, everything shifted. She looked like something out of a dream, bathed in sunlight, glowing with happiness. Nate looked at her like she was his entire world. And for a moment, I understood. This was what the mate bond was supposed to feel like. Certain. Unshakable. Right? My chest tightened. Because somewhere along the way, Ryder and I had lost that. Or maybe we never truly had the chance. The ceremony began, but I barely heard the words. Because I could feel him. His gaze. The pull between us, strong, undeniable. When I finally looked up, our eyes locked again. And suddenly, the rest of the world faded. Everything the elder said about mates, about love, about choosing each other, it hit too close. Because that was supposed to be us. But instead, we were here. Broken. Complicated. Still connected. Still wanting. The ceremony ended beautifully. Nina and Nate were radiant, bound together in every way that mattered. Everyone moved toward the reception. I hung back. And that's when he appeared beside me. Done ignoring me. Ryder asked casually. I wasn't ignoring you, I said, staring straight ahead. He laughed. You almost got hit by a car avoiding me. Okay. Fair. Still, I crossed my arms. Maybe I was. His expression softened. You're running, he said quietly. And I don't have much time left. That made me stop. Something in his voice, something raw, hit me hard. Before I could respond, he took my hand and led me outside. The sunset painted the sky in gold and pink as he brought me to a quiet, hidden spot. He said, serious now. I want you as my mate. I pulled back. You hurt me, Ryder. And then, he told me everything. The truth. The mistakes. The choices. The regret. Every word felt heavy, but real. And when he admitted he'd sabotaged my relationships. Yeah. I was furious. You don't get to control my life like that. I know, he said. I messed up. At least he didn't lie. At least he didn't try to justify it. And somehow, that mattered. We sat in silence after that. Because the truth was, I understood him. I didn't agree. I wasn't over it. But I understood. And worse. I still loved him. Can I kiss you? He asked softly. I should have said no. I tried to. I lose all logic when we kiss, I warned. He nodded, stepping back slightly. And something about that, him respecting it, even though it clearly hurt him, broke me. So I kissed him. And the moment our lips met, everything exploded. 5 years of longing, regret, love, it all crashed into that one kiss. It felt like home. Like chaos. Like everything I'd been running from. His hands found my waist, pulling me closer, and suddenly I was in his lap, completely lost. I want you so bad, he murmured. God, I wanted him too. But not here. Not like this. He smiled, a dangerous glint in his eyes. We could go upstairs, he said. My heart pounded. This was it. The moment. And this time, I wasn't going to run. Chapter 10, Finally Yours. The moment we stepped inside the pack house, Ryder didn't hesitate. He lifted me into his arms like I weighed nothing. A startled laugh escaped me as I wrapped my arms around his neck, instinctively holding on as he carried me toward the stairs. Ryder, people are going to see. I don't care, he cut in, his voice rough, his gaze locking onto mine with an intensity that stole my breath. Let them see. You're mine, Em. You've always been mine. The words should have annoyed me. They should have made me push back. But instead, they sent a shiver straight through me. I didn't argue. I didn't want to. He carried me up 2 flights of stairs effortlessly, like this meant everything to him, like I meant everything to him. And maybe I did. I found myself pressing soft kisses along his jaw, his neck, unable to stop myself. He groaned under his breath, his grip tightening slightly. You're making this very hard, he muttered. Good, I whispered back. By the time he reached the door at the end of the hallway, his control was already slipping. His apartment was stunning, wide open, modern, with floor-to-ceiling windows that overlooked the forest. Dark wood, leather, clean lines. Power. Control. Him. But I barely had time to take it in. The door shut behind us, and suddenly everything narrowed to just the two of us. He set me down slowly, deliberately, letting the moment stretch. Then his mouth was on mine. Hungry. Desperate. Like he'd been holding back for years. And maybe he had. I kissed him back just as fiercely, my hands gripping his shirt, pulling him closer because distance suddenly felt unbearable. He paused just long enough to meet my eyes. "Tell me to stop," he said, his voice low, strained. "Because if I keep going, I won't," I whispered. "Don't stop." Something in his expression shifted, something deep and certain. And then there was no holding back. The world faded into touches, warmth, and breathless moments. Clothes disappeared between kisses and quiet laughter, replaced by skin.
Beautiful, he mumuk, and mốt to himself. When I reached for him in Retung, he slept under me tất, not from hesitino, but from restreint. Like he was not to lose control completely. That alone made me heart racer faster. He carried me to his room, laying me gently against the cushion, but the substance didn't last long. Not with the way he looked at me. If I imagine this, he asked me quietly. More time than I sao? Then stop imagining, I said softly. I'm right here. That was on it took. What Fumla wants the Ruset? It wants the Karens. It was loud, deliberate, like he was learning me, memorizing me, making sure I felt every second of it. Every touch was grounding. Every moment real. And when I fainted, when nerve crept in, he noticed immediately. If got you, he whispered. And wait. And so me. I believed him. When things said, when the moment became so many deeper, so many thác cao đơn tờ bê undon, he paused. Are you so? He asked, searching me face. I didn't hesitate. I've always been sure about you. That was the truth. Even when I didn't want it to be. It was the perfect. It was the effort. But it was real. And that made it matter. He moved cafe at first.
Sure, he asked, searching my face. I didn't hesitate. I've always been sure about you. That was the truth. Even when I didn't want it to be. It wasn't perfect. It wasn't effortless. But it was real. And that made it matter. He moved carefully at first. Holding me close, grounding me when the unfamiliar sensations overwhelmed me. Breathe, he murmured against my forehead. So I did. With him. Because for the first time in a long time, I wasn't afraid. The intensity built slowly, then all at once. Emotion. Heat. Connection. Everything we hadn't said. Everything we'd lost. Everything we still wanted. I love you, he said, his voice breaking slightly. The words hit harder than anything else. And this time, I didn't run. I love you too. After, the world felt quieter. Softer. He pulled me close without hesitation, like letting go wasn't even an option. I rested against him, listening to his heartbeat slowly steady beneath my cheek. His fingers traced lazy patterns along my back. I meant it, he murmured. All of it. I know, I whispered. And for once. I really did. As sleep slowly pulled me under, one thought settled clearly in my mind. Home wasn't a place. It wasn't a house. It wasn't even a town. It was this. Him. And for the first time, I wasn't running from it anymore.